Yeah, man, come chat with me. We're there, we're live, yeah. And we're at the Mavis Bank Coffee Plot in Blue Mountain. I don't know, so the thing is exclusive. You see what I have in my hand? You want to better keep it like how we're going to find out the process and the whole thing about coffee. Yeah, the same coffee them that you're not drinking. Seeing right here in Jamaica, the #1 coffee. See, to keep it like Blue Mountain style. Ziggy bless, we're there.
The coffee industry is very important for Jamaica. 25 million US dollars is generated by exporting coffee on an annual basis. It supports 7,000 farmers, 102,000 farm families. 70% of our coffee is exported in green beans. Of the 70%, they call it the whole, 70% of that goes to Japan, 20% to the United States, and 10% to Europe, China, and the rest of the world. So the Japanese market is the largest buyer of Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee, and this has been established over a long period of time. Mavis Bank is ecstatic because we were the first company in 1953 to export coffee directly to the Japanese market. There are 10 stages that the coffee has to go through before you start to enjoy a cup of coffee. Mavis Bank Coffee Factory is one of the companies that was formed in the 1920s that prides itself in the growing, the processing and the exporting of the finest coffee in the world, Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee. Coffee has a strong history dating back to 1726 when it was imported by Sir Nicholas Laws in Jamaica, the then governor from England, and it was brought here and planted at Temple Hall in St. Andrew. The Arabica typica coffee was the variety that was planted here, and the Jamaican farmers continue to grow this coffee over many years. And history, its quality, its taste, its rank among all coffees in the world has certainly shown and demonstrated without a shadow of a doubt that Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee is the very best coffee in the world. Mavis Bank Coffee Factory is a coffee factory that processes Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee. We buy coffee from some 3,500 farmers that grows this coffee in regions specified by law as Blue Mountain regions. These regions are in the parishes of St. Andrew, Portland, and St. Thomas. And the farmers pride themselves in growing the finest coffee in the world. A coffee tree is transplanted from a nursery into the plantation, and that coffee tree will take about 3 to 4 years to come into its first production. You'll get maximum production in year 5, and that coffee plant can last for up to 10, 15, even 20 years. This is how the farmers will sell the coffee when it is cherry ripe, and we will buy the coffee in units of measurement that is called a box. The first stage is to float the coffee. This is done in the fields, but when it comes to the factory, we will also do it. And the objective of this is to ensure that we are selecting the finest of the finest. We eliminate floats, immature berries, and we will only accept the well-developed, well-ripe cherry coffee, and this sinks to the bottom. So once we select and we accept these cherry, we then pulp the coffee with a machine. And the pulping process is just the removal of this outer section here, which is the skin, exposing the parchment, which is then scrubbed, and the mucilage is removed. The wet parchment, after the removal of the mucilage, is then spread out on barbecues, or we call them patios. And the objective of that is to reduce the moisture. Placed in a mechanical dryer, dried at 55 degrees Celsius, and over about a 48 hours period, it will pull the moisture content down to 12%. And it will then look like this cured parchment. When it gets to this point, it is then bagged or sacked and placed in our warehouse where it is rested or aged. And the reason why you need to do this is to ensure that there's a redistribution of the moisture in the beans. It also helps the coloring of the beans, and it helps to get rid of what is called a greenish taste. So Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee is known for its mellow characteristics, sweet and balanced. If you hull this coffee, immediately after it is dry, you will get a greenish taste, which is not a flavor that we want in Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee, and that is why we rest it. So when it is rested for between 8 to 10 weeks, we then bring the parchment back into the production process that we call the dry mill. The process from floating to pulping is called wet mill, which you receive the coffee, you float the coffee, you pulp the coffee, and then you dry the coffee. So that is the end of the wet mill process. There are 10 stages that the coffee has to go through before you start to enjoy a cup of coffee. The sorting process is where we eliminate all defects, whether it is broken beans, discolored beans, or any foreign object. And when we complete that process, the coffee looks like this, almost perfect. What I just did was to break the surface, get the aroma, and so I'm now going to be tasting just to confirm what I smelled and to identify any further characteristic that might be in the cup. So what I'll do, I'll take a sample out, I'll slurp it in, get a fine spray to the back of my taste buds, and then I'll be able to analyze and conclude on the coffee that I'm cupping. I've been asked, why is Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee so great? So what I've just cupped is a coffee that is very balanced, very mellow, very full-bodied. It gives me a beautiful lingering aftertaste that says, hey Norman, you just had the best coffee in the world, Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee. And that is what categorizes the Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee, because of its body, its aroma, its acidity, its flavor, and it is just the best. It is the cloud cover, it is the soil type, it's a people that grows and handles this beautiful product. It is a gift from God, because you will not be able to have this fantastic experience, coffee experience, if the coffee is not grown in the Blue Mountains in Jamaica. And that is why we say the Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee is world's best.
Come chat with me.